Hi crafty friends, it's Jeannie, and today I'm sharing 3 cards using one main Blooming Bunch stamp set. This is from Trinity Stamps, new release, and I really love it because 1, it's a large floral image, and 2, it has this watercolor sketchy look that I just really love. I thought it was perfect to create a bunch of cards using ink blending and masking. For my first card, I am stamping with Versamark Ink, and I'll be adding white embossing powder and then also heat setting it. Once I heat set it, I'm able to ink blend right over it, and the embossing powder will resist the ink. That way it leaves the image in white and you're able to have this pretty ink blended background. So it's hard to see because it's white on white, but you want to make sure that your entire image is melted and it doesn't look grainy anymore. So as long as it's shiny and smooth, you're ready to go. For all 3 cards, I am using Trinity Stamps A2 Foundations Rectangle Stencil. It is a mouthful, but I think that this set, along with the circle set, are must-haves in your collection if you like doing ink blended backgrounds and like masking off areas. For the first one, I am masking off about a 1/4 inch border around this card panel. What I do is I'll place a stencil right on top of the card panel, tape it, flip it over, and tape it heavily on the back. And I'm only using washi tape. This is something that's been in my collection. I have tons of washi tape. I hoarded washi tape and I don't use washi tape. So now I'm just using it for all my crafting. It's cheaper than buying a ton of purple tape, which I have too, but I am trying to use up a lot of the things in my collection, and washi tape is just something that is excessive in my collection. So I have a ton of it. For this first card panel, I'm just going to be blending in some purple and blues. I ended up with a very light palette, which I really liked. It turned out really pretty. And all the colors I'll have for all my blending combos will be down below. I like to blend multiple times where I'll keep going over the colors and over the different colors just to make sure everything blends well together. I have been using Nina Solar cardstock for all my ink blending lately because I think that it just looks more vibrant. I use Bristol Smooth as well, and blending is a lot easier on Bristol Smooth, but I find that the colors aren't as bright when you use it on Bristol Smooth. I think it's because of that waxy surface, which makes it really easy to blend. But with the Nina's cardstock, I find that using a brush with this paper works really well for blending. With Bristol Smooth, I can use like the blending tool, the Ranger blending tool with the foam pad, and it won't pick up the little harsh circle lines that you sometimes get with it. So once I'm done with my panel, I'll just remove the stencil, and I love how clean the lines look, just like as if I was using masking paper. For all the sentiments for all 3 cards, I'm going to be adding the ink color that I use for the blended background and stamping a sentiment directly on that strip. So for this strip, I'm using shaded lilac and a little bit of dusty Concord and stamping my sentiment directly onto it. I'm going to be placing it at the bottom of the card where it has the blue, so I wanted to use purple just to have it pop off of the blue. And that would be it for my first card. My second card is similar. I am also using the stencil. I will be masking off a portion of the card. So I just want to ink blend the left hand side, and although I'm not using the stencil for its intended purpose, you can use it outside of its purposes, and I'm using it for the edge just to create that edge for that left hand panel. For this particular card, I'm using yellow, orange, and red. These colors blend easily together because red and yellow make orange, and so the transition is really nice. I'll be doing the same thing. I'm not going to be heat embossing though. I'll just be stamping in black ink, and I'll be offsetting the image and I'll be using the yellow for the sentiment strip. So I was able to create these cards in about an hour and a half or so, and I was watching TV while I was doing this. So it is a very easy technique to create multiple cards with, and if you like ink blending like I do, you're all set. You can make so many cards, and you have so many different possibilities with these stencils because you don't have to cut out masks. They're ready for you. So that's why I think it is a must-have in your collection. Speaking of TV, I've been watching a ton of TV. Since quarantine, I've watched so many shows. I've watched so many shows that I've always said that I wanted to watch. I had taken this little survey of 100 shows, and I've watched like 51 of them, which is a ridiculous amount. Of course, normally I watch a lot of TV because I like to craft and have it in my background, or I'll watch it while I work, and that's how I get through so many shows. But I am getting to a point where I'm not really sure what else to watch. I kind of have watched a lot of older stuff that I always wanted to watch, like Mad Men was on my list of shows to watch. And that was, I think, 9 seasons, and I finished that in about like 2 weeks, which is ridiculous. But I just had it nonstop playing while I work. And now I'm getting to a point where I'm not really sure what to watch next. So if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them. I normally tend to go towards comedies, romantic comedies, and a lot of drug related shows. I've realized that by watching Breaking Bad, Queen of the South, Ozark, I just really love those shows. I just think it's so interesting, and so if you have any related to that, I would love to hear it. Back to the cards. So for the third card, I'm actually using the rectangle to mask off the inner part of the card. So to do that, I am using the main stencil area just to make sure that my rectangle will be lined up properly. So I tape it down, and I kind of forgot that I was just using the inside, so I taped it down way too much on the back, but whatever. So I'm using that washi tape and putting it all on the inside so I can add that rectangle so it will stick. Once I do that, I remove the rest of the stencil and I'll be ink blending around. So instead of just ink blending a border, ink blending the outside border. And for these colors, I'm using pink and green, which do not mix well together. So I had to be very careful when they are touching each other. So that center area where the pink and green are layering over each other, I had to make sure to be very careful. Otherwise, it creates this like orangey brown color that just isn't super pretty. I also had to be careful because I went back between both pink and green, and I was using the glass mat, so there was ink left over, and I just had to wipe it in between. But for this card, it's similar to the first card, except I'm going to be stamping it in black. And so the interior of this rectangle is going to be black and white, and the exterior will be colorful. So it's a very simple card, and then I'll be using the green for the sentiment strip and adding it to the middle portion of the card. And this is why I think this stencil is such a good one to have for your collection, because it just makes masking and creating backgrounds so easy, and you're able to create focal points super quick. So you see that your eyes do go directly to this flower, and it's just a very simple thing to add, is just the ink blending around the stencils. For the sentiment strip, I'm using another sentiment from the A Sentiment for Almost Everything stamp set, and I will just be adding it to the card, and my 3 cards are done. It was really, really quick to do, and it was fun because I love ink blending. I think that it's one of the things that I fell in love with when I first started making cards. So those are all 3 cards. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can leave some TV recommendations down below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.